Riley Grant stepped into Mercer's gun shop in a light sundress and sandals, looking more like a college girl browsing for her first self-defense class. The three clerks behind the counter burst out laughing before she said a word. "Let me guess, darling," Bobby Mercer chuckled. "You're after something pink and easy to manage?" What none of them realized was that Riley Grant was the deadliest sniper in SEAL history, credited with 187 confirmed kills across 4 continents, and the SEAL commander about to enter that store had spent 3 years trying to track her down. Ever been underestimated so badly that people decided what you could or couldn't do before you even spoke? Often the most dangerous soul in the room is the one everyone assumes can't fight back. Mercer's gun shop stood just beyond Ashford, Kentucky, a town small enough that neighbors knew every secret and strangers were instantly noticed. The store mainly served local hunters, weekend marksmen, and the occasional police officer buying private gear. Riley Marie Grant had chosen her look carefully that Tuesday afternoon in September. The truth of who she was would have terrified every man in that gun shop if they had known. Master Chief Petty Officer Riley Grant, call sign Ghost 6, had spent 8 years as the most feared sniper in U.S. Navy SEAL history. Her sealed record, buried under layers of military intelligence, listed 187 confirmed kills during missions in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and other sites that never appeared on any public chart. 2 years earlier, her world shifted. On a secret mission in Eastern Europe, Riley's team was betrayed by leaked intel, leading to an ambush that killed 4 SEALs. Faced with ongoing risk, she was given a choice: stay in the field, knowing every op could be compromised, or accept an honorable discharge and vanish under a new life. She chose to vanish. For 2 years, Riley Grant had been listed as dead, supposedly killed in a mission no one outside classified files had heard of. Only 3 officials in the entire Navy knew she had been placed in Ashford, Kentucky, living under a new identity as an elementary art teacher. It was the dullest, safest life she had ever known, and the lack of purpose was slowly driving her insane. That was why she decided to buy a hunting rifle, not for game, but to feel once more the balance of a precision weapon in her hands. "Well now, sweetheart," Bobby Mercer greeted as Riley stepped to the counter. He was a broad man in his 50s with graying hair and a smile that made women instinctively check the door. "What can we do for a pretty little thing like you today?" "I'd like to see some hunting rifles," Riley answered politely, keeping up the quiet persona she had built for her civilian cover. "I'm hoping to try deer hunting this fall." "Deer hunting?" Mercer's helper, a young man named Tyler, started laughing. "Ma'am, have you even fired a rifle before?" "Not really," Riley lied smoothly. "My boyfriend thinks I should practice, but I don't know much about firearms." Mercer and Tyler exchanged grins while the third clerk, an older man named Hank, shook his head with a smirk. "Well, darling," Mercer said with patronizing patience, "hunting rifles aren't toys. They're heavy weapons that need strength and practice to use safely." He strolled to a glass case filled with smaller caliber models. "For someone like you, I'd start with something simple. Maybe a .22 rifle that won't kick hard and won't weigh much for you to carry." He pulled out a pink-coated rifle that looked like it belonged in a toy aisle. "This pretty piece here is just right for the ladies. It's light, comes in a pretty color, and the recoil won't send you flying." Riley gazed at the rifle with the look of someone forcing herself to stay polite. In her career, she'd used systems that needed security clearance to even be viewed, and here was a man trying to sell her a pink .22 because he figured she was too fragile for anything real. "Actually," Riley said gently, "I was hoping to see something with more reach. Maybe a .308? The 3 men roared with laughter as if she'd asked for a rocket launcher. "Oh, darling," Hank added, "a .308 would wreck your shoulder. Those rifles are for serious hunters, not beginners. You'd topple after 1 shot." Tyler bobbed his head eagerly. "Yeah, those things weigh 8 pounds easy. You'd probably strain just picking it up." Mercer leaned on the counter with the posture of a man about to share seasoned advice. "Look, sweetheart, I've sold guns for 23 years, and I can tell you women always think they want big rifles until they actually pull the trigger." Riley nodded, appearing to soak in his wisdom, while mentally counting the dozens of ways she could disable all three with nothing more than the tools in front of her. Could I at least see one of the .308 rifles? She asked, just to get an idea. Mercer sighed with the patience of someone humoring a child. Sure, honey, but don't say I didn't warn you. He strolled to a case, unlocked it, and pulled out a Remington 700 in .308, the same weapon Riley had once used for her record-breaking long-range kill in Afghanistan. Here you go, Mercer said, laying the rifle on the counter as if handling fine china. This baby weighs about 8.5 pounds and can drop an elk at 300 yards. Go on, hold it, but be cautious. It's heavier than it looks. Riley reached for the weapon with the hesitant movements of a novice. The second her hands wrapped around the stock, years of training took over. Her grip shifted into perfect form for balance and control. Her stance adjusted subtly to take the rifle's weight. Her breathing fell into the slow rhythm every sniper used before a shot. For a few heartbeats, she was Master Chief Riley Grant again. Then she broke the spell and returned to fumbling with it as Mercer expected. Oh my, she murmured, acting as though the weight was too much. And the scope looks so complicated. That's a Leupold 3-9, Tyler explained condescendingly. The dials adjust magnification, but honestly you'd never need more than 3 power for basic hunting. Riley nodded like it was new knowledge, all while recalling the 25x scope she had relied on for her longest shot. The key thing, Hank chimed in, is that real hunting takes more than aiming and squeezing the trigger. You've got to know ballistics, wind drift, range estimates, stuff that takes years. Years, Mercer agreed, and that's if you're born with talent, which, no offense, most women just don't have for long-range work. Riley was starting to understand why civilian women struggled to be taken seriously in these spaces. The casual dismissal purely on gender was both maddening and revealing. So you really think I should stick with the .22, she asked. Absolutely, Mercer answered firmly. Start with something you can manage, learn the basics, and maybe in a few years you'll be ready for a true hunting rifle. Riley was about to reply when the bell over the door jingled. She turned her head and spotted a man in plain clothes who instantly tripped every threat alarm she had ever learned. He looked around 35, stood 6 feet tall, and carried the conditioning of someone shaped by military training. His casual outfit couldn't hide the tactical discipline in his body language or the way his eyes swept the room for danger. More telling, his stare locked on Riley with open disbelief. Commander Daniel Rhodes had spent 3 years looking for Ghost 6. Not on record, of course. Every military file listed Master Chief Riley Grant as dead, lost on a mission. But Rhodes had been there when the ambush in Eastern Europe went down. He'd seen what was left after the betrayed mission, and he had never believed Riley Grant was truly gone. As the CO of SEAL Team 7, Rhodes had worked with Ghost 6 on 4 separate missions. He'd witnessed her skill firsthand and knew she might be the most valuable tactical asset the U.S. military ever had. For 3 years, Rhodes used his clearance and intelligence ties to chase any trace of Riley Grant. The search became an obsession that cost him 2 relationships and nearly derailed his career. But he never accepted that the deadliest sniper in SEAL history had simply vanished. Now he was staring at her inside a small-town gun shop, dressed in a sundress and pretending she couldn't handle a rifle. Excuse me, Rhodes said softly, speaking to Mercer but never taking his eyes off Riley. I couldn't help noticing the lady is shopping for hunting rifles. Mercer grinned, relieved to have a male customer who might understand. Yeah, trying to keep her from buying one that'll throw her flat. Women always think they want the big rifles until they pull the trigger. Rhodes's face stayed steady, but Riley caught the tiny tightening at his eyes that signaled controlled anger. Is that so? Rhodes asked carefully. What rifle is she after? She was talking about a .308, Tyler added with a laugh. Can you believe it? I told her a .22 would be safer until she learns. Rhodes looked straight at Riley, and she saw the recognition burning there. He knew exactly who she was, and he was offering her the chance to either stay hidden or reveal herself. Ma'am, Rhodes asked respectfully, have you ever had any training in long-range shooting? This was the moment that could either preserve her cover or end it. Riley could keep pretending to be the art teacher, or she could trust that Rhodes's presence meant things had changed. She made her choice. Some, Riley said softly, though her tone no longer matched the meek civilian mask. Rhodes gave a slow nod. What's the farthest shot you've ever taken? The three clerks were watching, clearly puzzled. Mercer sensed the air had shifted. Riley met Rhodes's gaze directly. 3,214 meters. The silence that followed stretched 7 long seconds. Rhodes's face cycled from doubt to recognition to awe, and finally to reverence. He'd known who she was, but hearing her calmly state the distance of the longest sniper kill in history hit like a blow. Jesus Christ, he breathed, barely audible. Mercer, Tyler, and Hank stared in total confusion. The number Riley had given meant nothing to them, but Rhodes's reaction made it clear it was monumental. I'm sorry, Mercer said slowly. But what's happening here? Rhodes didn't look away from Riley. Sir, you've been trying to sell hunting rifles to the record holder for long-range precision shooting. World record, Hank echoed. Rhodes's voice carried the kind of respect reserved for legends. Ma'am, is it true you made the Kumdesh shot? Riley gave a single nod. And the Baghdad hits? Another nod. Rhodes stepped back, and to the shock of everyone in the shop, snapped to attention and gave a sharp salute. Master Chief, he said with years of respect in his voice. It's an honor. Mercer, Tyler, and Hank looked on as if the world had tilted. The young woman in the sundress was being saluted by a man with clear military authority. I don't understand, Mercer muttered weakly. She's just a teacher. Rhodes slowly lowered his salute. Sir, you're standing in front of Master Chief Riley Grant, call sign Go 6. She's the most lethal sniper in the history of U.S. Special Operations. Tyler's jaw dropped. But she came in wanting a pink .22. No, Rhodes corrected calmly. She wanted to see 308 hunting rifles. You assumed she couldn't handle them. Hank stared at Riley as if seeing her for the first time. You were military? Riley said flatly. I've been retired 2 years. Mercer's face shifted between embarrassment, disbelief, and a creeping dread as he realized just how badly he had misjudged her. But you said you'd never fired a rifle. I said not really, Riley corrected softly, which is technically true. I've never fired a civilian hunting rifle for recreation. Rhodes studied Riley's civilian cover with professional interest. Ma'am, if I may ask, what brings you to a gun shop in Kentucky? Riley weighed how much truth to give. I wanted to find a rifle close to my service weapon, just for range practice. It's been 2 years since I've done precision work. Rhodes nodded in understanding. Have you seen anything suitable? Riley glanced at the Remington 700, still resting on the counter. That .308 is almost identical to my main platform. With the right adjustments, it would be sufficient. Mercer finally found his voice. You really hold a sniper world record? Several, Rhodes answered on her behalf. Longest confirmed kill, most in a single engagement, and most successful deep cover-ups. Tyler stared at Riley with awe and fear. How many? 187 confirmed kills across 4 continents, Rhodes said when Riley stayed silent, plus classified missions not open for discussion. Hank sank onto a stool, muttering, and we were trying to sell her a pink .22. Nothing wrong with a .22, Riley said kindly. They're great training pieces. But I wanted something with more reach. Mercer eyed the display differently now. Ma'am, we've got custom precision rifles in back. Military-grade work I don't usually show civilians. The Remington will do fine with proper upgrades, Riley replied. Rhodes stepped closer, lowering his tone. Ma'am, how are you holding up? With civilian life? Riley thought carefully. It's an adjustment. Quiet, safe, sometimes too quiet. Rhodes nodded knowingly. If you ever want to talk to someone who understands, I'm stationed about an hour north, SEAL Team 7. I know who you are, Commander Rhodes, Riley said with a faint smile. Your reputation precedes you. Rhodes blinked, surprised. You know my work? Operation Neptune's Fury, Syria. Very clean. And the Tripoli extraction. Perfectly executed. Rhodes's expression shifted to pride. Thank you, ma'am. That means a lot from you. Mercer cut in. Ma'am, about the rifle. What modifications would you require? Riley approached the Remington, her movements now crisp and professional. She checked the trigger group, worked the bolt, and sighted down the barrel with practiced ease. The trigger needs lightening for a cleaner break, maybe down to 2 pounds. The stock should be adjusted for a better cheek weld. And the scope needs replacement. I'd prefer higher magnification with better glass. Rhodes watched her inspection with clear interest. What scope are you considering? Knife force or Schmidt and amp bender? Variable, likely 5 to 25 power. Mercer scribbled notes like a student being schooled. We can order whatever you require. Military-grade optics, trigger work, stock mods. Tyler, quiet until now, finally spoke. Ma'am, I'm really sorry for before. We didn't know. You couldn't have, Riley said gently. I was in character and you reacted to what you saw. No harm done. Hank still sat staring at her in open amazement. 187 confirmed kills. That's remarkable. It was my job, Riley said simply. Rhodes understood she disliked attention on her record. Ma'am, would you be open to some recreational shooting? I know a private range about 20 minutes away. For 2 years, she had been cut off from anyone who understood her world. The chance to shoot with someone who valued precision was appealing. That sounds nice, she replied. Rhodes pulled a business card and scribbled his number on the back. Call me when your rifle's ready. I'd be honored to spot for you. Mercer was already running numbers in his head. Ma'am, with custom trigger work, stock mods, and a premium scope, it'll come to about $3,000. That's fine, Riley said without hesitation. Tyler was still trying to process everything. Ma'am, that record shot over 3,000 meters. What were the conditions? Riley's gaze went distant. Hostile ground in Afghanistan. The target was an enemy commander directing strikes on a coalition base. Range was 3,214 meters across a valley with shifting winds. Rhodes leaned in, clearly intrigued. How long to set up? 17 hours. I had to infiltrate into a clear vantage, then wait for the weather to steady. 17 hours in enemy territory? Hank asked. Unnoticed, Riley confirmed. The shot had to be flawless. There'd be no second chance. Mercer listened with mounting respect. How do you even calculate at that distance? Multiple elements, Riley explained patiently. Wind at different altitudes. Temperature and humidity on the bullet's path. The planet's rotation. At that range, the Coriolis effect matters. Enemy movement and timing too. Rhodes nodded knowingly. And you only get one shot. One shot, Riley agreed. Miss, and the target escapes or your cover is blown. Tyler stared at her with awe. And you never missed? I missed plenty in training, Riley said with a faint smile. But in real ops, when lives ride on accuracy, missing isn't an option. The shop fell silent as everyone absorbed the weight of that. Mercer cleared his throat. Ma'am, about the rifle. When would you like to pick it up? How long for the upgrades? Give me 2 weeks to do it right. Trigger work takes time. Riley nodded. 2 weeks is fine. As the paperwork was finished, Mercer made a quiet choice that would redefine his store. Ma'am, before you leave, know this meeting changed how we'll deal with customers. We won't make assumptions about skill based on looks again. Riley smiled. That's a smart move. You never know who might walk into your shop. Exactly, Mercer said. Everyone deserves respect until they prove otherwise. 2 weeks later, Riley came back to collect her modified rifle. Mercer had spent hours tuning the trigger to a crisp 2-pound break. The stock was reshaped for a perfect fit, and a Night Force scope was mounted with care. When Riley tested the weight and balance, Mercer instantly saw her approval. This is excellent, she said, raising the rifle and checking scope alignment. Much better than I expected. Mercer glowed with pride. Ma'am, it's been an honor working on this for someone with your background. As Riley left, Mercer hung a new sign in the shop. We serve all customers with respect, no matter their look or past. You never know who might be a hero. The sign became well known locally, though few knew the Real story. Riley Grant kept teaching art to children in Ashford, living quietly in her small home. Once a week, she drove to a private range where Commander Rhodes waited with quality ammo and tactical drills that reminded her who she had been. The modified rifle worked flawlessly, keeping Riley's legendary skills sharp even though she was supposed to be dead. The first time she used it on the range with Rhodes, she fired 20 rounds at targets from 100 to 1,200 meters. Every shot struck clean, leaving Rhodes silent with awe. The rifle performed exactly as she hoped, and for the first time in 2 years, she felt whole again. "It's like riding a bike," she told Rhodes as they packed up, except this bike eliminates targets at impossible ranges. Rhodes had brought several SEAL operators to see what he called a legend come to life. They had all heard of Ghost 6, but watching Riley Grant perform left them stunned. "Ma'am," said Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chin, one of Rhodes's sharpest snipers, "that 1,200-meter hit on a 10-inch target, I've never seen its equal." The wind was gusting 15 miles per hour. Riley smiled, cleaning her rifle with instinctive care. Wind is just another variable. The key is patience and knowing that every shot teaches you about the next one. Over the months that followed, quiet word spread through SEAL circles that Ghost 6 was alive and willing to teach. Riley began training small groups of elite marksmen in techniques not written in manuals, sharing knowledge from 8 years of missions that pushed the edge of possibility. The real secret, she told them, isn't only making the shot. It's disappearing long enough to reach the position, waiting for the perfect second, and being so precise that a second chance is never needed. Mercer's gun shop became an unlikely pilgrimage site for service members who'd heard the tale of the sniper once underestimated by clerks. Mercer never revealed her identity, but he never forgot the lesson she left him about judging by appearances. Tyler eventually joined the military, inspired by meeting someone who lived for protecting others. Before shipping to basic, he stopped at Riley's classroom to thank her for showing him what true strength looked like. "You taught me that heroes don't always fit the picture," he said as third graders painted around them. "Sometimes they're teaching kids to paint flowers." Hank began volunteering at a veterans group, helping former warriors adjust. Meeting Riley taught him many veterans carried unseen burdens and talents that civilians rarely grasp. The biggest shift came 6 months later, when Riley got an encrypted message from channels she thought were gone forever. The intel leak that forced her into hiding had been exposed and shut down. The network targeting her ops was dismantled in a joint international mission. Rhodes delivered the news personally during one of their range days. "You're officially alive again," he said, as sunset painted the hills gold. Full reinstatement with back pay, promotion to senior chief, and your choice of assignment. Riley weighed the offer while adjusting her scope in the evening light. "What about my cover identity here?" "Riley Grant, the art teacher, can stay in Ashford if you want," Rhodes explained. "But Master Chief Riley Grant can return to duty. The choice is yours." For the first time since she vanished, Riley had options that didn't mean hiding or giving up who she was. She chose the way she always had by asking where she could do the most good. "I want both," she said. "Keep teaching during the year, but return for specialized training and summer ops. The children need me, but the military needs what I know." Rhodes smiled with admiration. "We can make that happen." Ghost 6 becomes a part-time consultant and a full-time teacher. The balance was perfect. Riley's students never knew their art teacher spent summers training top snipers, and operators never stopped marveling that the woman who could reach impossible targets also taught watercolor butterflies. Sometimes the most extraordinary people hide in the most ordinary roles, and sometimes the woman in sandals is really the ghost who chooses when to be seen. And maybe the person you think has vanished is actually building a new life, carrying lessons of strength, patience, and protection into every role, whether guarding warriors or guiding children with paintbrushes. Have you ever realized someone you misjudged was far more capable than you imagined? Sometimes the quiet one in the corner holds skills that change everything, and sometimes the woman in a sundress is a ghost reminding us that legends never disappear. They simply decide when to return. The story of Riley Grant became a lasting reminder that heroes often stand in plain sight, serving in ways the world doesn't always see. Teaching kids and eliminating threats both demand precision, patience, and a heart for protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Sometimes the deadliest weapon is the one unseen. And sometimes the most powerful truth is learning that strength takes forms that defy every assumption of who deserves respect. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Captain Joe's Stories for more incredible tales like this.